स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms. Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Welcome, friends, for this special Easter service. It was actually Pravrajika Divyananda Prana who was to give today's lecture, but she is not well. Although she is right here, she said she cannot now speak and she is not feeling well. So now what to do? So I asked that Yogatmananda, can you give a talk for her? And he said, okay, as much as I can. So now, well, you have to listen to Yogatmananda's talk. But although the speaker has changed, I have kept the topic same. And that is connected with the spirit of Easter, that the search for immortality. It is, we look for immortality because we cannot think that we can ever die. We know that we die, and yet somewhere we feel that we don't die. There is that inner urge to survive, inner awareness to be. So therefore it is so difficult to imagine one's own death. It is, think of it, We had a discussion some years ago at the Brown University, our chaplain's office. The topic was about, death. And one opinion that one of our Jewish chaplains gave was that it is very, very difficult to personally feel one's own death. It is about others' death we can understand, this person died, that person, also died. Everybody, that we can understand. But when it comes to my own death, even when I imagine, the imagination is like this, that I see this body, this corpse is lying dead, and I am as it were looking at it. And what does it mean? I am still there. I am still looking at my corpse. So it is one's own death is very difficult to accept. There was a question in Mahabharata. In Mahabharata there is a wonderful chapter about what is called the questions of the celestial being. And Many questions have been asked by that celestial being. I don't want to, take your time by narrating the whole story. But the point was that one celestial being was guarding a lake, and then these five Pandavas, these brothers, they went there thirsty. First, the youngest one went to fetch water, and then this celestial being warned him, "Hey, this lake is guarded by me. It is my property. If you want to take water from here, first answer my questions." And this man disregarded this warning. Hey, who is that? I don't believe all this stuff. So he went to get the water and then just fell unconscious there. Next, other three brothers also went one after another, and they all met the same fate. They fell unconscious. Now the eldest one, who was well versed in the code of conduct of a religious person, he was therefore called Dharmaraja Yudhishthira. He was well established in the spirit of religion. So when he went there, he understood that yes, if there is somebody's property, naturally I am not authorized to intrude on it. So he agreed to answer the questions of this yaksha, and that is such a wonderful chapter for study. It is great wisdom. So one of these questions, sometimes I can give a talk on all the questions of this. That's a nice topic. But today I will take up one question, that what is most surprising that was asked. And this Dharmaraja replied, "Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yama mandiram shesha sthiratvam icchanti kimascharya param." Every day we witness so many people dying around us, and still we feel, I am not going to die. They died, but I am not going to die. We conduct our activities as if we are immortal. So he said, what can be more surprising than that? Exactly. That is how it happens. And the reason is, there is something that is immortal. It is when we see the mortality, it is an automatic logical conclusion of a process of change. Everything changes, and then this change comes to a stage when now it cannot be any more recognized as that fellow. So we say then that, well, it is gone, it is dead. So it is therefore everything that is changeable has to meet extinction. That is called death. But still something does not go away. There is that something in us which does not change. The spiritual search is actually search for that which does not change at all. We read that great question in Kathopanishad, that it was asked as a boon, that please give me the knowledge of that which does not die when the body dies. So body dies is understandable. We see that. There is no doubt about it. But something survives. Can you tell me about that? That was the boon that was asked by this young man, Nachiketa. And then this story is wonderful, but I don't have time to discuss that. So it was uh, told to him that, look, there is something within. And that keeps on taking the body one after another. It is a beautiful verse comes there, many verses. One is that, look, there is something that is not born and therefore is not subject to death. That which is born has to die, but there is something that is not born and therefore cannot be subject to death. So, therefore it is said, na jayate, na mriyate. It does not get created or born, and thus it cannot die either. So, and then what happens to it with the death? Now it depends what happens. That a person who has to give up the body because the body has become now either very old or met some kind of a accident or disease, or so the body falls off. But the body was manufactured with lot of the desires that were working in the mind, and to fulfill those desires, a body, this machine, was made. Now the body is gone, but the desires are not gone. And so according to those desires, you take up another body. This Nachiketa was explained this truth, that yoni manne prapadyante sharirittvaya dehinah sthanu manne anusanyanti yatha karma yatha shrutam. That we take, that when this body falls off, then something within that was carrying these desires, passions, and very peculiar to that person, the awareness of I and world. We all have the awareness of I and world, but each has a different awareness, not exactly same. One person's understanding of I and world is not exactly same like the other person. Even amongst human beings, imagine my understanding of who am I and what is the world, and then a mosquito sitting, fortunately is not sitting on me right now, a mosquito sucking my blood, will have a different understanding of I and world. It has also an I and a world for it. So everybody has a different understanding of I and world. So according to that understanding, and then according to that understanding, there are the desires and passions and the idea of capabilities. That is, again, it takes a new body. So, sharirittvaya dehinah, these two words come in Vedanta very often. Deha and dehi, the body and indweller of the body. So this indweller of this body, having discarded this body, takes up another body for its use. And this is what happens. So that inside does not die with the death of the body. It is just, you can understand this these days much better because all of you use smartphones, isn't it? You don't use smartphone? Oh, okay. Then okay, so I will have to tell you differently later. Although you understand this thing, but he is an exception. The rule is we all use smartphones. Do you use Punita? Yes, you use Tilakji, you use smartphones? Yes, excellent. So now what happens with smartphones? That this smartphone, it is made with this manufacturing defect for the benefit of the manufacturers, that every 4 years or 5 years you cannot keep on recharging it anymore. Moreover, the new programs, new apps, you cannot download on the old phone. And so what happens now? You are forced to change your phone. The old phone has, as it were, died. And then the phone died, but you do not throw away all the files that you have, all the nice pictures that you have taken on it, and you don't want to lose the contacts. So you transfer all that on a new device, new phone. Do you do it or not? Yeah, exactly. And thus what happens? This is a rebirth for that phone. After all, it was not just the hardware. There was this software, and the software survives even with the loss of the hardware. I am putting it in a somewhat simplistic manner just to get the understanding that we have something that runs this hardware of body, and brain is also part of that body. All that is hardware. But it won't run without a program loaded on it. That because of that program, you see, we work in a particular way, we function in a particular way. That is the idea of the program. So, exactly like that, this body died, and now you need to function another body, so you reload all that software onto the new body. So you don't die fully, only the body dies and it keeps on changing. And this is also not a complete immortality, because this mind, this program, that also would die at one time. It is also a product. It also is made. It is also born. And therefore, it also will be facing the prospect of death. Only it is more durable than the hardware. So, therefore, this body goes away, but you survive and get reborn. That is the idea of getting rebirth. But that is not really the immortality, because according to Vedanta, this software is also a body called subtle body. It is not gross body and therefore has a longer life, but this subtle body, it still lives. But subtle body has also its limitations and its life. It also comes and dies. So, what does it mean by the death of subtle body? That ignorance dies with it. That I am a limited being. This truth dawns upon you that you are actually everywhere. You are all that is. You are beyond these limitations of time and space. When I have to use these words like when, where. Actually, these words do not are not applicable here, because we are talking of the state where you transcend the limitations of time and space. Because time and space, they are created by this program. Mm. They are not that automatic. We feel that it is all in space and time. No, we make the space and time. And then we feel we are bound by that. We made it. It is like the tail wagging the dog, instead of just the dog wagging the tail wags the dog. It is like that. So, we have to see this, that this beyond time and space. And so, that thing is never born. The gross body is born. Subtle body is also born in subtle space and time. In Vedanta, this distinction is there. Three types of spaces are specified. It's a wonderful analysis, not really available to what is called Western science. It is a gross space. What we experience now, it is a gross space. But there is a subtle space which is also experienced by us in the state of dream. That is a window, to understand these things. That think of your dream experience. See, one may just brush it off, brush it aside. It is after all dream, don't talk about it. But in the dream, that is real, and this waking state is unreal. In the waking state, it is just reverse. So both are really on the same plane. I mean, same understanding. That why waking state is real, because now we feel it, we understand it. Dream state, it is felt real in the dream only. So waking state is also felt real only when you are waking. So this is the gross body. Just as there is gross body, there is this subtle body, and that we perceive in the dream. And that is, therefore, in what space do we perceive it? In the dream you may see a big herd of elephants, and they are following you, and you are running to get rid of them. My goodness, you are so scared. The elephants are gaining upon you, and you are mostly sure that another minute and you will be trampled by them. Now, the room that you are sleeping in, there is no way even one elephant can enter, let alone a herd of elephants. There is nothing happening. And then you get scared and scream, "Ooh!" And then the brain, this shifts, that program shifts from the dream to waking. And thus, I am not giving all the details here, but it is an interesting study. So, that where you were seeing the dream, that is called subtle space and time. There is time and space in dream also. That is the subtle time and space. And then there is a causal time and space. What is it? it is impossible to really describe it, but one can give an analogy that we experience that also more or less every day when we get deep sleep. Mm. Our Tilakji is a sleep doctor, so he can really explain these things in a more technical way. But we don't need technicalities here. So it is. And what is that space? That is called a causal space. So there is causal space, causal time. There are no definitions for causal because the idea of defining comes from the subtle body. Till then there is no defining process at all. So defining is there at the gross as well as subtle level. So therefore, why I am bringing it to you is these things are bound by time and space. But when you realize that no, I am none of these bodies have been my machines. And I took different types of bodies in the Buddha's that statement of realization, sitting under the Bodhi tree. He realized this, that, well, in this process, I went from one body to another body to another body, but now I have understood that no, I have realized the truth, and so all these bodies are gone for me. And so that is what Vedanta says is the real, true immortality, that you go beyond the time and space on this very holy day. They say it is the holiest day for the Christians. But for everybody, whether you call yourself a Christian or a Hindu or whosoever, this truth that is demonstrated by Jesus is very important. That immortality is your heritage. You are basically immortal. It is only because you get identified with gross or subtle body that you feel that you are limited. And thus, you feel I am born and I am going to die. But when this illusion goes away, now it is not possible. There is the beautiful discussion between Mary, Martha and Jesus. That Martha and Mary say, it is in the book of John, that Martha and Mary say, well, that it is, you will, we know that you will resurrect again. Jesus does not exactly concur with their statement. His statement is very, very Vedantic statement. He says there, I am the resurrection. It is, my true nature is that it is immortal. There is no death to that. And then he proceeds further to say, whosoever believes in me will not die even if that person, he or she dies. We die, and yet Jesus assures that if you have faith in me, you will not die. Now the important point here is having faith in Jesus. That doesn't mean just subscribing to some church. It means understanding and following the central teachings that are given by Jesus, that remove your identification from these limitations of this time and space, the matter. Remove your identification with that, and thus you see you are immortal. Jesus was a great man of renunciation. And that is the message that he gives, that give up longing for the sensual enjoyments, that do not crave for the perishable things, because you will be perishable like those perishable things that you try to go after. So, therefore, he says that go to that which where the moth does not store your treasures in the heaven. Now, the heaven, as they described in the Christian annals, is not the heaven described in the these Persian or Islamic books, a place for so-called enjoyment. No, the heaven here is being with God. And God is our true nature. So it is our true abode that we go to. And there, he says, on the earth, if you leave the treasures, they will be finished. The moth will eat it and that, all that. But if you store that there, but that, what does it mean is you have to give it up here. You may say, well, I will store it on the earth and carry them later when I die to the heaven. That is not what it's meant. That it is, do not aspire for those things here. And thus, you will have that immortality, the presence of God. You will become one with God. You will realize the kingdom of heaven within you. So, this is the great message of Easter, and that our true nature is immortal, that we cannot really die. All Vedantic texts, they imply that. And Swami Vivekananda has therefore given a wonderful lecture about this. It comes in the book Jnana Yoga. That, and I am reading a portion from that. He has described the different levels of immortality. Like we saw the death of the body, but still surviving as the subtle body, and then taking various gross bodies. That is one kind of immortality. But he says, goes further now, one step more we will have to take to come to a logical conclusion. There is no halfway house. You are metaphysicians, and there is no crying quarter. If then we are beyond all law, we must be omniscient, ever blessed. All knowledge must be in us, and all power and blessedness. Certainly, you are the omniscient, omnipresent being of the universe. But of such beings, can there be many? It is, we get a funny idea, friends, that okay, I will be one infinite, you will be another infinite. We forget the idea of many automatically brings limitations. You end here and I begin here. Then there is time and space automatically involved in it. Just think about it. That what is space and time? Space means the distance we feel between two objects. If there is just one, there is no space. For the awareness of space, there have to be at least two objects. The space between them determines the distance between them determines our concept of space. Try to think of space where there is absolutely no object, no subject, no body. You will not have any idea of space there. And what is time? It is very interesting, friends. The time is that this perception of many is not constant, it is changing. And this change is the originator of time. Uh, Change gives you time. Now, later, before, all this past, present, future, that is because of the change. If there is no change, there is no time. If there are no many, there is no space. So, therefore, this omniscient, omnipresent being has to be one without second. When it is said one, it is, don't confuse, please, it with a numerical one. It is because numerical one, then 1 plus 1 become 2 and all that. So this is non-numerical, all-pervading, true oneness. So this oneness, it is our true nature. He further continues, I am quoting again. You are only one, there is only one such self, and that one self. Therefore, Swami, it is in this book, it is that one is put with O, that capital letter. So it is not what we call numerical one. So, one existence, the ever blessed, the omnipresent, the omniscient, the birthless, deathless. So that is what our true nature is. That is where we reach that immortality. And then that is, because it is omnipresent, everything is under its control. So it is omnipotent also. A few next lines, Swami Vivekananda quotes from this Kathopanishad that I quoted a few verses from, that it is, this controls the whole universe, because that is the reality of all appearances. All appearances of a thing, yes, you agree with me, it seems, okay. So, all appearances are like that. They get controlled by the actual thing there, that it is. So, these appearances which come and go, they are all under the control of this one without second being. So, wherever there are two, there is fear, there is danger, there is conflict, there is strife. And in another place we can say that is that it says death. Wherever there are two, there is all this strife, hatred, fear, always fear. It is at one point that person can be your ally, but who knows what will happen in the future. You are always concerned and worried. Dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati, a great statement in Upanishads, that wherever there are two, the fear has to be there. Elimination of this duality is the only way to come to the fearless state. Otherwise, there is fear even between the spouses. Well, is today with me, what will happen tomorrow? We don't know. It is somehow it is sticking so far. Yeah, it is. One of our friends had given a talk here on management. He said that actually, he's a business expert, And so he said, I'm giving a talk on management, but if you ask even on the home front, somehow I am clinging on to my 10-year-old marriage. So it is because you never know what will happen tomorrow. It is today it looks fine, but there are two, so there is fear always. Same with other close relations. You are afraid that how my son will behave with me. Today it seems okay, but tomorrow who knows? So, when we realize our true nature, one without second, now there is no scope for fear. Otherwise, you may display courage, but that is not becoming fearless. And that it is like you may say that I am not afraid of a tiger. Yeah, you may not be afraid of tiger, you are very brave, but uh, still there is some palpitation that, oh, that tiger is there, how am I to tackle with him? You have the valor and courage, but that is not fearlessness. If you see the tiger and you feel some fear, but you courageously face it, and after going a little ahead, you see it is a paper tiger, then all fear automatically vanishes, isn't it? So it is like that. When you see it is all one without second, there is no further fear possible for us. So this is where we reach, attain to the true immortality. So therefore, I am again continuing, therefore know that thou art the he, that is, he means not a person, but that is capitally written. He means that whom you are worshipping, what your idea of God is, that you are that. It is, many take it as a blasphemous statement. Those who have not properly studied the Vedanta literature take it as if it is a blasphemous thing to say that I am that divine. How could that be? The idea is you actually have no separate existence whatever. So whatever is, that is divine, and that is what you also are. You are that. So now when you see that, you become divine. You go beyond all time and space, and thus this is what is called Tattvamasi, a great statement in Vedanta, thou art that. Well, it comes in an Upanishad where a student, having gone to some college, those days it was like not exactly today, it was a 12-year course, residential. And so the children would go there, and then when he came back after 12 years, the father saw that this fellow has become rather egotistic of his knowledge, and so he questioned him. And the result of true knowledge would be, humility. Knowledge brings real humility. That is what becomes knowledge too. In Sanskrit there is a great saying, Vidya Vinayena Shobhate, that if you have humility, then your learning has some meaning. And this father of this lad saw that having gotten a degree, now he is thinking that he is on the top of the world and has the audacity to insult anybody. No, let me ask him a few questions. And then when he asked, this boy could not answer. And so he confessed that he doesn't know and requests the father to teach. And then the father started teaching, and in that teaching comes this a very important statement that all this is everything has the central substance that pervades everything. These are all modifications of that, like the ocean rising in waves. The ocean is expressing itself, the same one without second ocean, expressing through all this multiplicity of waves which rise and fall. So, what a wave has to do to escape that rising and falling? Rising is like birth, and falling is like death. Do you get it? This is an important idea. And so, how can you go beyond death? To know that you are ocean. Because you actually are, you have to acknowledge this truth. You have to give up clinging to this waveness. Clinging to waveness is clinging to death. Clinging to waveness means having fear and sufferings. But if you look at the truth, and Vedanta just does not want to give you anything new as such. You have to just see this truth, acknowledge it, that's all. It is nothing, you don't have to believe anything. Just see that just like the waves rising on the ocean, so also all these beings, we rise, move, keep on changing, and fall back to the ocean. So therefore, it is important that, that ocean is, I am that ocean. I have to give up this false idea that I am this little creature. And Swami Vivekananda hammered this idea that was, and even today is preached, although today it has been acknowledged that that was not right, to keep on harping upon the original sin. That we are sin, we are born of sin, we are sinners. But that is, Swami Vivekananda says, no, it is a standing libel of humanity to call them people sinners. You are not sinners, you are divinity on the earth. You are divine. Yeah, many nowadays agree, many Christian clergies agree that before thinking of original sin, we have to acknowledge original divinity. So, a very important thing. So, it is sin. What is sin there? Because you were thinking that you are limited, and then in ignorance you are trying to remove these limitations by getting connected to other waves, snatching something from the other waves. That's it. That is, so you were becoming a thief, you were becoming a murderer because of this ignorance. And that is why on the day of crucifixion, Jesus did not condemn the crucifiers. He said, well, they do not know. They are ignorant. And because of that, they are doing it. Lord, forgive them. So, this is the knowledge of a person who has realized the all-pervading truth. And there is no death for that person. There is no death for anyone. Therefore, who believes, accepts these teachings and work on them. So it is. So, therefore, this young man, when he was told that you are that, naturally he said, I am feeling confused, please explain me. Yes, it needs to be repeatedly told, explained, all the doubts need to be resolved to gradually come to grip with this, because we have this terrible habit of holding on to ignorance. This is how something we do in ignorance. Again, that thing prompts us to repeat that same thing. This is what is called, in Sanskrit they call it sanskara. In English you can see that as the strengthening impressions. Again and again you do it, and it becomes a powerful impression, like habit. Or addiction. Worse than habit is addiction. Now that controls you. So one has to get de-addicted, de-hypnotized, and then we can see this truth. So this student again asked the father, okay, please explain me further. And there are so many beautiful analogies that father gave. First was, okay, bring that under the tree there is a fruit lying there. Some hands-on training, hands-on training is better than just hearing things. So he told, go and get that fruit. And his son went and got that fruit. Okay, break it. This is the method of analysis. Break it and see what is inside. All of us, have this desire to see, break and see what is inside. That is how we discovered atoms, then break the atom, come to electrons, protons, other fundamental particles, then further see what is inside them and so forth, because that is our innate tendency to know the truth by going inside. So after the father said that, he broke and saw, told father, look, there are all these these seeds inside. Father said, okay, take one of them and break that. Okay, he broke it and found there were some very fine particles which were even difficult to see by the eyes. And the father said, look, from that very tiny thing that you are not even able to see with your eye, this gigantic tree has come about. So also, although you think that you are a little being, no, you are divine. Just as that gigantic tree was inside that little thing, that all-pervading divinity is actually in each of us. We have to just uncover that and it will get manifested. So this is where we become immortal, friends. So this is the great lesson of Easter. I like this Christian festival for this lesson that it brings, that each of us is actually immortal. So let us repeat, friends. Say loudly, I am divine. I am immortal. I am existence itself. I am bliss itself. Thank you, friends. Meditate on this message, and after a few seconds, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Hey, Charlie, there is some question. Wait. Richard is asking the question, although he didn't hear the full lecture. In the car, okay. Yeah, thank you.
When you speak to Christian fathers, how do they feel about Ramakrishna being the Son of God? Do they have any objections to that, or none expressed?
No, some people have voiced it, but some people have accepted it also. I can tell you about one evangelical minister. That incident I have told many times. It's a wonderful education. That minister retired a few years ago, but still comes here whenever is in this vicinity. So he came to see me. He was to give a lecture here on Universal Brotherhood Day. So he came and said, look, because I want to meet you today with respect to you, I have also put on an orange shirt. So I said, thank you. Then he asked, well, what is your view of Jesus? I said, Jesus is God in flesh and blood. Correct. But then why you have Sri Ramakrishna and others? I said, look, that the other day I met you, you were in the green shirt, and today you are in this orange shirt. Does it mean that you have changed? You have put on the clothing according to the circumstances, according to the need of the situation. When you go for the swimming, you will put on it. Obviously, you cannot jump into waters for swimming with this tie and a suit like that. Yes, according to situation, we put on the attire. Then I put another question. Don't you think the body is just like the garment that we take on and then keep away? For example, when we go to bed, we do not go to bed with body actually. The body is kept away. That is why we see the dream when we are in a different kind of body. So, and when we are in deep sleep, we are not aware of the body also. So, the body is like the garments. And so, God comes in various garments. And this is the garment that the God has taken now. Jesus' garment was a body that was suitable for 2000 years ago. Now, not that is wrong. That is also right. We have to accept and acknowledge the divinity in that form. But this is the present garment that the God has taken. So, and he shuddered a bit. He did not accept this immediately, but he had no argument against it. He said, I will have to think. So, it is difficult for some. There are some priests who fully acknowledge that Sri Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God. That I don't want to give the names because they are quite well-known figures in the Christian community. So it is, but they acknowledge, and not only that, they practice this meditations on Sri Ramakrishna. Some have been already initiated into the Sri Ramakrishna mantra. So, therefore, there are some who accept, some who do not accept. Forget Christians, there are many Hindus who don't accept that Sri Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God. So, there is a variety in all these. So, it is like that. Thank you.
And Rabbi Rami Shapiro is Jewish who accepts him, right?
He is Jewish, yeah.
He accepts him.
Yes. Here is another question, John. We spoke from the Gospel of John, you know.
That was before my incarnation here. AA has or 12-step programs have a saying, I believe it's a concept, so it says, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that the principle is something that's an innate godness inside of us.
Correct.
However, we kind of like put that on the back burner because personalities or other worldly clamors enter our mind. Would you say that divine beings, godlike beings, are people that hold steadfastly to those principles?
Yes. The principle is to be held steadfastly. Even, just to mention, I had been giving many classes on Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. And one idea that I had been stressing on is one has to see both Sri Ramakrishna as the principle and Sri Ramakrishna as the person. Like an animal cracker, animal crackers. So there is a shape, but the substance is same in all shapes. That is the principle. But then there is always some shape has to be there, even if it is an ordinary cracker, forget animal cracker. It has to have some shape. So the shape is there, but one has to dwell deeper and see what that shape represents. Your point is very important because many forget the principle and hold on to the person. That leads to fanaticism, and just the religion is killed in that. Unless we understand Jesus as the principle, holding on to Jesus as only as a person is going to create and does create a lot of fanatic movements, and then, well, you have to accept this, otherwise you go to hell, and all such things. So therefore it is important to see both the principle and its manifestation as a person. Thank you. Any other question? Oh, this Tilak has one question.
Swamiji, I don't know much about the various religions of the world, but there must be some, there probably are, that don't accept the concept of immortality. So what happens to the souls in those religions?
Well, what the religions difference, they are systems, Some systems can say one thing, another system can say another thing. But the truth remains the same. Immortality is not a matter of belief. It is the matter of truth. So whatever you may believe or disbelieve, that does not really change the truth. That is the important aspect in that. Any question up there?
Yes, Maharaj, there is one question from Absolute.
Oh my. Absolute. He had asked many questions when I was speaking in Connecticut. Anyway, please shoot.
As time and space fills in mind, and many questions do arise in mind, which means causation is in mind,
Yeah.
all these are called Maya. So is mind itself the Maya? If yes, how to live with mind then?
Well, it is, see, Maya has two aspects. One is the aspect that where it binds. And then there is another aspect where it frees. So Sri Ramakrishna therefore said that the Maya, Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Avidya Maya is the one that binds us, and there is the knowledge which frees us. Now, actually, there is no bondage, therefore no freedom. When you realize that, there is no problem at all. It is, I had told that story many times, but it is quite illustrative, that a prince thought that he has swallowed a snake, and that is causing lot of stomach ache. And since he was prince, the king called all the physicians, and then they examined properly. But then they found that there is actually no snake in the stomach. And when they said that there is no snake, no problem, they were all thrown out. Hey, you don't understand. This prince is saying that he has swallowed a snake. One physician said, okay, let me examine. So he made that prince sit and then lie, and then moved the fingers on the stomach. This seems to be the head of that snake. When I press here, it must, does it give more pain? Yes, it is, you are right. And then look, here it goes, that snake, it is going like this. And then said, okay, now we have got the proper diagnosis, and now we will get rid of that snake, no problem. And then he gave that prince a lot of purgatives. And then told a servant to put a dead snake in the toilet bowl. And thus, the snake came out. And the prince was relieved of all the pain, because there was actually no snake. But then if you are feeling snake, then you have to get rid of that snake. So similarly, if one is feeling bondage, then one has to make efforts for liberation. Otherwise, the truth is this: I am ever free. Swami Vivekananda has written a very beautiful poem, Song of the Free. So I am ever free. I don't have to then think of mind, this and that. So the question is for those who are feeling the bondage. And so they have to use the mind, same mind, to get rid of the bondage. That is the process. Thank you. Okay, friends. So let us see what the upcoming programs are, and then we'll have the closing prayers. Let us pray that Divyananda Prana feels better soon. She gave a wonderful retreat yesterday, but then at night she was feeling lot of pain in the throat and could not sleep, lot of headache, and so could not come to Connecticut. But she assured that she will probably be okay to give the afternoon talk. But it seems things are not always in our hands, So she was not up to giving this as well. So let us hope and pray she gets well very fast. And coming week, there is the programs of Tuesday, Friday classes at 7:30 p.m. will go on as usual. Everyday meditations, prayer sessions will also go on as usual. Next Sunday talk will be on savoring the God. So you can attend any or all of these programs. You are very welcome. And now let us have the closing prayers. After that there will be the evening arati, and then you are all invited to join the wonderful soup supper. May the divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, read loudly, eh? Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
Of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Stainless Lord, assuming human form. Stainless Lord, assuming human form. Transcendent, death filled with love. You free us from the stain of sin and ornament our world. Consciousness is a form. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Looking at them, delusion is gone. Ocean of shining love and feeling, created in your infinite love. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Form a boat to cross this world. Revealed to us as God incarnate and the Lord of all things, helping us to join with you. Your mind's always set in the divine light. Your mind's always set in the divine light. This we can say. life. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. You're fearless and you're free from doubting, with your mind very firmly resolved. Causeless refuge of your devotees, causeless refuge of your devotees, renouncing caste and birth. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Darkness is destroyed by your light. O Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's cave. Darkness is destroyed by your light. O Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of mridanga. Langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of mridanga. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Hara Hara for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Brave gracious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all-seeing God. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence. O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Jai Shri Ram Krishna Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Sarda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Shri Swami Vivekananda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Buddha Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Jesus Christ